Good evening. Welcome to Womb with a View, Season 2, Episode 1 by Make More Noise. Hey everyone, I'm going to go round in a circle. I don't know whether we're going clockwise or not because I can't tell which way you're looking at me. So we're just going to go round. We're going to do DJ, Lippy and Aja, Tanya, Chinzia, and then Kerry and Lauren. You're all going to say who you are and why you're here really quickly for us.
My name is DJ Lippy and I'm here to talk about my protest that you organised called Come Out Stonewall.
Jesus, that was quick. Bloody hell. People will have to go backwards on that and slow it down and play it again.
My name is DJ.
All right, Aja, who are you?
I'm Aja, and I guess
what are you doing here?
Talk about their protest as well, I guess, and listen to everyone else.
Tanya, who are you? What are you doing here? What are you doing in our club?
What are you doing here? I'm Tanya, and I went to a rally in Loudoun County at outside of the school board meeting. Yeah, that's it.
That sounds really interesting. Can't wait to get to that. Chinzia, who are you?
Hi, I'm Chinzilla on Twitter. Chinzilla here. And I've been going to protests all summer with Katie and Aja and others, and Iris. Miss Iris, where is she? And that's what I do. I support everybody.
Turn your phone off, whoever that is. I'm watching you.
Not me. Not me.
Kerry and Lauren, fill us in on who you are and what you're doing in our pub.
Hey guys, I'm Lauren and I'm a dysphoric lesbian campaigner and activist. I campaign for lesbian visibility and for the right to be in an exclusively same-sex relationship and basically for women and children's rights as well, alongside Kerry in Northern Ireland.
And I'm Kerry. I mostly campaign on child protection now, but my original account started off, it was called Butch Women Are Their Best, and it was basically a butch appreciation account. And I miss those days, but I have to speak the truth and I have to speak out and protect women and children. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm currently being reported to the police for the terrible crime of saying that paedophiles and paedophile enablers are bad.
Shitty now. That is a revelation. I never knew that. Thanks for letting us know. So should we start off? Sorry, that was a little joke, but it kind of just didn't land anywhere. Let's move on.
No, but it is funny, or it would be funny if I didn't have the police after me.
Yes, which makes it very not funny, which is why we're going to talk about it. But I would like to, before we get to you, Kerry, can we go to Adrian, DJ Lippy first and get your story?
Yeah. So Come Out of Stonewall. You might have seen it trending on Twitter last week. It was a national protest organised in London, Belfast. Kerry and Lauren, I think, were there, and Edinburgh. And shall I read out what I've got on the leaflet? It says, "We are lesbians, gays, bisexuals and allies who are calling on the public bodies and private companies who are members of the Stonewall Diversity Champion Scheme to hashtag Come Out of Stonewall. The charity does not speak for us or represent our interests as lesbians, gays and bisexuals." And then, all the reasons why. I think we've all heard so much about all the bad things that Stonewall has done. I think for us, this was a chance just to show that this is, the LGB do not agree. We're same-sex attracted. We believe that protecting our sex-based rights in law is very, very important. And Stonewall are just totalitarian, anti-science, anti-gay, anti-woman, lesbophobic, and they're just making us all look like maniacs, basically, is the best way I could think to put it. And so we want to sort of shift the narrative a little bit so that I guess like normies can understand that, like, the LGB doesn't really have anything to do with the other letters. Everything that comes after is just straight people. You know, you can be trans or I don't know, like all the other ones if you are same-sex attracted, but if you're not, then you don't really have anything in common, really, do we?
Not at all.
So yeah, that was what we did. Would you like to see some footage of the day?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what? I'll try. It always goes wrong when we start and try and share a screen. Let's give it a go. Okay. This one. Let's give it a go.
What women have to contend with.
Oh shit! Just gonna put it on so you can. Can you see that?
It's coming up. Oh, something's
Yeah.
coming up.
So this one we started out near the coverage. As you can see, oh, did that come off again?
I
what's
think.
that happened?
Do you want to? I think you should just tell us about it, because when you put that up on the screen, you got a bit fuzzy and when started cutting out a bit. So I think tell us about it, and that'll be a bit easier.
I'll just say how it went.
Yeah.
There was a good turnout. Loads of inflatable dinosaurs. We started out at Parliament Square, and then we went all the way down to Portcullis House. Shouted at them outside there, and then we went down to Scotland Yard and had a go at Scotland Yard. You got to mention Kerry, and just you could stop going after women for telling basic facts about biology and actually solve some real crimes rather than these pretend crimes that everybody gets so upset about. And then we went to the Home Office, and we were going to do speeches, but honestly, we were just really tired, so we just had a button. And then got the bus and went to BBC, which was absolutely hilarious. Trying to get 5 inflatable dinosaurs on a bus. And then we went to the BBC, gave them a piece of mind. I tried, they wouldn't let us through the barriers. They were like, you can't come in. And I was there with my massive megaphone, looking really conspicuous. And then we did some speeches, did some more chanting, took some pictures, and then it was actually with George Orwell at the BBC broadcast house, and it's got a really interesting quote, and it says something like, if liberty means anything, it is simple things they do not want to hear. And I just think, well, that's perfect. I mean, the BBC's silence debate about Stonewall and identity rights and changes to the law that Stonewall want to make, and basically it's time to sort of tell the diversity scheme. The Stonewall have been misrepresenting the law and asking people to change HR policies, and it's basically not the law as it is, but just what they want it to be, which is a really way of enacting social change. Usually, if you're a lobbyist, you lobby the government to change the laws, but what they've done is just go and lie to everybody and say this is the law. No, it isn't the law. It's just what they want to do. It's like Stonewall's law. So yeah, that was London, and there was also one in Edinburgh and one in Belfast, which sounded interesting. How was it, guys? You were at the one in Belfast, weren't you?
Yeah, we were. Yeah, it was really amazing, actually. There was another lady, 2 + 2, or is it 2 + 2?
2 + 2 makes 4.
She was the organizer on this end. I don't want to say her real name because she'd be mortified. But she did a brilliant job. Her and everyone got together. They sort of had an estimate of people. We were thinking there was going to be about 20 because we're quite a small country here, and we haven't picked them all yet. But it turned out to be a lot more than that.
Nice.
I know any of the footage that we have doesn't show many people's there. That was just who was willing to be on camera. But everybody that was behind was supporting. There was people honking their horns. There was even the guys from the BBC Broadcasting House. So we were stood outside BBC Broadcasting House, came out and gave us their cards, or said, I would like to interview, or I think you're doing a brilliant thing. And there was loads of support, even if they couldn't say it publicly. And we got a very small number of, I'm going to say kids.
3.
Kids
3 of them
that came over and challenged us about anything, but we sort of said, you know what, thanks for coming along and even just chatting to us, but we disagree with you respectfully, and our case still stands. We want Stonewall to come out of this. It's a bit of a charade, to be honest, and a lot of the diversity stuff is being used against people like my wife. So she made an absolutely stonking speech. It has gone quite viral over here, and it's getting a lot of recognition for the Come Out of Stonewall campaign you're doing. It's getting a lot of recognition for the misuse of the diversity scheme, particularly against women and lesbians. And there was another lady, Mandy McGirldick on Twitter. She did an absolutely brilliant speech as well. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And we went to the pub afterwards, had a couple of drinks, just chatted and got to know each other, and then headed home, really.
And I got hugs. Everybody gave me hugs.
Getting in and out of there was a few dinosaurs at ours too. It was hilarious getting everyone in and out of the costumes.
I think it really brings something to it. I think our protest, it makes it, instead of being, it's not so aggressive, it's almost got like a it's a serious matter, but it's done in quite a fun way. So I think it's quite a good way to talk to passers-by. I mean, if an inflatable dinosaur gives you a leaflet, you're going to take it, aren't you?
You are.
We did get engagement as well. The public came past, and there were quite a lot of people who asked, what is that? So we gave them leaflets, and we stood and chatted to people, and they were really, really supportive. There's more support out there than people can lend publicly because they're frightened naturally.
I think that's what we found when we've been on our protests. We've had lots of horn honking, especially. Well, you were at the one with Lancet, weren't you, Cinzia? We got so many. We got so many people honking the horns. NHS staff honking the horns.
It was fantastic atmosphere.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
And always going to the pub afterwards. I think that's a big part of it. It's not just going to the pub. It's meeting people and connecting and swapping numbers and then, you know, hopefully building something for the next time and building networks, because that's the thing. When you're online, it's great to be on Twitter. It takes a lot of your time, but you sometimes wonder how what gets changed. Do you know what I mean? I think it's about getting into the real world and networking in real life with real women and sort of doing that, really.
Katie, did you speak to the security guards at the BBC? Was it you or another woman who sent them the Nolan report? The security guards were well interested, and this woman was like, "Here's the Nolan report." So, and you also turned your Uber driver, didn't you? You managed to get your Uber driver afterwards.
I peeked my Uber driver coming home. I was coming home with all the signs and loads of leaflets, and he's like, on a massive megaphone, and he's like, "What have you been up to there?" And I was like, "Oh, I've done a protest," and explained it to him. And I started talking to him about mothers and the erasure of mothers, and he's like, "I've got 5 kids. My wife is a wonderful mother. You know, oh, that's wrong." And then started telling him all about it. And he was like an Asian fella, so relatively conservative, but straight away he was like, "Oh no, you know, we get loads of lesbians and gays in the cab, and they're always so friendly, so nice, you know what I mean?" And I was telling him about it, told him about the Nolan report. He starts getting it up on his phone. He's like, "No, yeah," and I'm like, "Oh, see," and it just goes to show normal people aren't having any of it. They don't like this behavior, because aside from whether or not you agree with it, it's not the right way to go about doing things, isn't it? Is it by like just silencing people and shaming them and attacking them, and you know?
Every time I've got a train home, so I get a train home from London, because it's closer. London's closer to me, so it's quite hard to get further. It's very expensive. I'm just a stay-at-home mum, so I go to the London ones, and I always have my placards and all the suffragette stuff on the train. And someone always asks me whether it's the train staff, who are always lovely. And the last one we went to, this Come Out of Stonewall. Sorry, I'm just going to do that again. A Rastafarian man. He was talking about his religion, and we were talking about this, and he was really supportive. So every time I chat to it coming home, real support out there. Fantastic support.
Yeah. Well, I think it's massive having like lesbian women and gay men saying things like "Come Out of Stonewall" and campaigning publicly about this, because a lot of what trans activists have done is hinged this on being gay rights part 2. That's what they've hinged it on. So normal people, they need to hear that that's not what this is, and sometimes it's better coming from lesbian women and gay men or people who are supporting them than it is from people that don't know what they're talking about.
A lot of people are ignorant of what the debate's even about. Like they're ignorant of trans activism and what we're even fighting for. But like I'll happily stand up and say Stonewall do not represent me. They do not represent me in any way anymore. I am someone who has dysphoria. I'm a lesbian, and they want to medicalize people like me. Not only that, but they would push for me to not have talking therapies as a way to treat my dysphoria, as opposed to, you know, transition. You know, affirmations just, for me, it would be harmful to sit in a room and somebody to affirm that. You know,
it's conversion therapy, because under affirmation therapy, if Lauren went for therapy for dysphoria, and instead of saying, well, let's talk about this and look at where it comes from and help you deal with it and live with it, instead of that, they said, oh, here you go, here's a prescription for testosterone and a double mastectomy. Congratulations, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At the moment, there are still 2 lesbian women, right?
Mm.
Under the affirmation model, there apparently would be a heterosexual man and a heterosexual woman.
Yeah, I mean, it totally erases homosexuality, and it's, you know, this is why we say it's anti-gay. Hi, Iris.
Hi everyone. Sorry, I'm late.
Hello. And yeah, so it's just great to sort of finally have a bit of space. It was the day after the LGBT Alliance as well, which we were down for the LGBT Alliance conference, and it was a fabulous day out. Great to connect people that you've met online, never met in real life, and also like the counter protest there as well. Basically, it felt like almost like, is it the Westboro Baptist Church?
Yeah.
It was screaming at us, and I could just feel it. Like when you went outside, it just felt really uncomfortable, didn't it?
It was very angry. And
you
they're all
know,
led by men on megaphones as well.
Screaming at lesbians, gays, and bis that they're scum. Like,
bastards, and we don't
Jesus,
know,
Louise.
like
what is it?
What is that if it's not homophobia? I don't know what is. You know.
But that's it. Like, can these people not see themselves? Can they not see themselves? They don't. They actually think that normal people walking past are going to watch them screaming at lesbian women, gay men, or bunch of women, and they're going to go, yeah, right on, good on you.
Yeah,
it's not. It's going to make people uncomfortable because they're not. They don't think that that's what this is supposed to be about. And you're showing them what it is. You're showing them how hateful you are.
Yeah, we had there as well on the front lines with his little tubby little face like that. Oh.
I loved his face. It was like this. So good.
The thing is, they don't really care that there's others being impacted by their actions, do they? Because that's how they work. That's how they are. That's the reason why.
A lot of these activists and a lot of these people, and I try not to say these people because I need to be specific about who I'm talking about, but activists that are specifically campaigning against women's rights and gay and lesbian rights, they only want what they want in the moment, and they don't care about what everybody else gets, even on their own side. So as long as that one individual is getting what that one individual wants at that moment, that's it. That's all that matters. It's very, very self-indulgent.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we've been up to, isn't it?
It is.
And now just thinking about next actions, another protest we might be organising. And yeah, like it was great to we had a lot of help from the shopper groups who sprung up in Scotland, and now they've gone national, basically connecting women via Twitter to meet in real life and to real life groups. And so I think that's going to be a big force, hopefully going forward, to organise protests nationally, locally, because I think sometimes it's hard if you can't get to London or a big city. It can be hard to really get involved. So I think now it's about trying to get them everywhere, basically, and even if it's just a small protest, like one inflatable dinosaur, somebody else giving out leaflets, that's enough. That's all you need, really. So and yeah, inflatable dinosaurs are brilliant. We took ours to the park, didn't we? And so many families and kids were coming up to us, and like I was like, this is brilliant for going into like town centres and stuff, speaking to the mums, because they'll all come up and want a picture, and then when the kids are getting the picture, you can be like, By the way,
I'm a big fan of the dinosaurs. They're
yeah,
so good.
yeah. Thank you, David Lammy, for calling women who want to protect their rights.
Yeah, look at what grew out of that.
Yeah, it gave me
Brilliant.
loads of artwork. So good. I'm still
Have you
on, I'm
seen
still
them
on the
buying
dinosaur
tonics?
stuff.
They've been
Yes.
buying tonics since they were
So
dinosaurs.
good.
It's my favourite.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
All right, I think we should go on to Kerry and Lauren. I would really, really like you guys to speak about what's been going on because you've had quite a big week.
Started the day before the LGBT Alliance conference, didn't it?
That was Wednesday.
Was
So,
that 2 days?
I mean, before Wednesday, I've got a statement saying some things that have happened today, which I'm going to read out. But just to give you a bit of background, I posted about child protection, and I posted about the Wee Spa incident and the whole supposed trans person swinging the penis around in the women's changing room in front of women and girls. And I said, really, if that is what you are doing, you're a predator. You're not a dysphoric trans person. Like, my wife has dysphoria. Dysphoric people do not want to swing their penis around in public. They want to hide. Do you know? Dysphoria does not induce flashing. And I find it actually quite offensive to suggest that it does. So I did a bunch of tweets off the back of this, really around that point, that if you're saying that's a woman's penis, to excuse somebody flashing women and girls in the women and girls changing rooms, then you are excusing paedophilia. And there's a bunch of other examples that are similar to this that across the internet. So Peter Tatchell saying that he knows of 9-year-olds who were abused and it was a sort of whatever it was that he said that it was fine, like it didn't have any long-lasting implications for them. Like all that stuff. And everybody coming in, Penny Red said, why didn't she just avert her eyes? Which is absolutely gaslighting.
Shocking.
Horrendous. So I tweet about all this and I do it from my heart and I share about what happened to me when I was a little girl too. And that's what makes me so passionate about it, because I know what it is to be there. I know what it is to be so hurt and vulnerable and afraid. And I know what it is to have bad men coming after you. So that's the background to it all. And that's why I tweet what I tweet. Now, I'm going to read the statement and I kind of want to watch your faces and read it, but I'll watch your faces back again. Are you ready? Based on a complaint from a member of the public, the police asked me to go for interview voluntarily under caution for tweets about child protection. I used a word within those tweets which made a man, who my solicitor has advised me not to name publicly, feel that they were about him. At no point did I name him or quote his words directly. He was so triggered that he reported me to the police. The police invited me to be interviewed voluntarily under caution at the station for malicious communications, misuse of electronic communications, homophobia, transphobia, harassment. I politely declined and invited them to arrest me if they wanted to interview me under caution. There was some discussion then between me, my solicitor, and the police regarding my attending under caution. They offered to interview me at my home, at a place of my choice, by female officers, and so on. I politely declined their offers. They then reassured my solicitor if the police did come out to arrest me, they would make an appointment to do so at my convenience and make sure I wasn't cuffed or manhandled and didn't spend too long at the station. I found that utterly surreal. Imagine arresting somebody at their convenience. Bizarre. 8 days after the initial phone call inviting me for interview, the police informed my solicitor they will not be arresting me. Instead, they are sending the original complaint straight to the Public Prosecution Service of Northern Ireland, who will be taking a decision as to whether to prosecute me. It's a sensible move on their part. It avoids the absolute PR disaster for them that arresting me would have been. They've passed the buck. I would have done the same thing in their shoes after the pressure put on them by my Twitter family. My solicitor thinks it's good news. If the police don't even have enough evidence to arrest me and interview me, It would be a surprise if the Public Prosecution Service decided that they had enough to lay charges. In addition to the original complaint, Lurgan Police Station has received an unspecified number of other complaints about me and my Twitter account over the last week. My solicitor was not able to secure information about these subsequent complaints. He thinks that some of them at least are from the original complainant, but that there may be other complainants too. I am not allowed to know what these complaints are about or what tweets they pertain to. There are two ways for me to find out. One is for me to submit a subject access request to the police station after the fact. This is the personal equivalent of a Freedom of Information request. Alternatively, I can attend the police station for, wait for it, a voluntary interview under caution. It's like being trapped in a Kafka novel. I have not locked my Twitter account, nor do I intend to. I am not afraid for anybody to look through my tweets. I've never even had a tweet removed for violating the Twitter terms of service. I have never even stepped close to the line regarding harassment. I frequently stop the sometimes strong urge, for example, to quote tweet tiny accounts and cause pylons, even when they point a gun at me and pictures in my mentions, call me homophobic slurs, and try to shame me for loving and centering women in my life, in my friendships, in my home, in my marriage, and in my bed. I stand by every word I have tweeted, and I do not understand why the police service of Northern Ireland is coming after me, a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, for saying that paedophiles and their enablers are evil and should be stopped. I ask them instead to redirect their efforts in pursuing actual criminals, starting with paedophiles, following up with their enablers, and going on to individuals who waste police time by making vexatious complaints about women having opinions on Twitter. The police have informed me that they need to visit me to tell me formally which complaint or complaints are being sent on to the prosecution service, and that will be arranged by appointment in the coming days. You can rest assured that I am very unlikely to see the inside of a courtroom over this. The most likely outcome is that the prosecution service drop this malicious complaint and that it's done with. It's not the only possible outcome, but it's the most likely, so there's no immediate concern for me. Don't worry about me. I'm also strategizing with my solicitor with regards as to how we can pursue action against this man and have him stopped from using the police as his own personal enforcement arm against women he disagrees with.
Yeah.
What actions are open to us depends on what decisions are made by the prosecution service, so I will hold off on actions or statements until the current situation is resolved. My solicitor is confident that, as in Marion Miller's case, it will be resolved in my favour. There you go.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah. Thank
Well
you.
done.
Thank you. You stand up for every mum out there, as well as lesbians and our children. Like, you're an all-rounder and you're remarkable, and this shouldn't be happening to you. This is just horrible. Horrible listening to that. I just want it all to stop for you.
But I'll tell you why I do it. I do it because, and I'm going to get emotional when I say this, my inbox.
I know why you're
is
getting me emotional.
full. It's full to bursting of survivors of childhood sexual abuse telling me, when you stood up in Belfast and said that speech, I felt safer. Little me felt that you were speaking up on my behalf, and nobody ever spoke up on little me's behalf.
Yeah.
And nobody ever spoke up on my little me's behalf. And so I'm doing it for all those little people out there, all those little people who everybody carries around with them, all those survivors who are standing behind me, who are still working on their recovery, who haven't yet found their courage, who haven't yet got to a place where they can speak out and stand up. And I'm speaking for them. And that's why I do it, for those people. And the bottom line, the real reason I do this, I have messages in my inbox. I have 3 messages which I go back to so often. And they are from women. 2 of them have boyfriends, had boyfriends, and they read my threads and realized that there was something wrong with this boyfriend that they had and that he was after their children. And one of them is from the neighbor of a woman, and she knew that something had happened with these children and it wasn't properly investigated. And she read my line about most people know something that's half no. And she reported them to child protection. So as we sit here tonight, what time is it now? 8 o'clock. Right about now, there are 11 children in the world who are going to bed safe because I was brave enough to speak up on Twitter, and they can sleep sound in their beds tonight because I
That's
raised
incredible.
them. And that's why I do it. And I don't care, bring the police, because if they bring the police and if it goes to prosecution, what will happen? I'll get a bigger platform to speak more. And if I can speak more, I'll get more messages like that in my inbox. And every word is for little me.
The man in
pretty
Wee
cool.
Spa, he sat next to a little girl. The man in that Wee Spa sat in the jacuzzi pool next to a little girl. I don't know if it was the second time or the first time, because there was 2 cases at the Wee Spa. They'd had 2 cases of this, and you read that, and every parent's nightmare, isn't it? And so what you do is so important. Why the
It really is.
Yeah, and you were right when you
when
you did that thread. When you did that thread, you were right, because it wasn't known at the time it was a predator. And look, we know now that it was someone with previous convictions of doing the same things.
And not only that, the disgusting thing about it is that the newspapers tried to make out it didn't even happen.
Yeah, the Guardian,
So
you mean?
the Guardian. Even the Guardian is willing to protect predators publicly and stand by it and say these women are liars.
Yeah.
And that's what
Like,
Kerry's
we
up
don't know
against.
what we're talking about.
You know, the papers, everything. And one woman, it's just not on, is it? It's devastating.
And didn't he just pick the wrong person? Whoever the person that reported you, didn't he just pick the wrong one?
Yeah, innit?
And actually, I'm
Fucking with the wrong fam here.
I just want to give a massive, from my heart to everybody who's got in contact with me and been so. I feel like I'm riding a wave of support and having people behind me. And for somebody who is so radically alone all her life, it means so much to me. And for this one as well, who's been looking after me. I've got this, but I'm not any kind of Wonder Woman or anything. I'm just a mum who's speaking the truth because I have to. And it could have been anybody. You could have complained about anybody.
But that's why you're reaching so many people, though, because so many people see themselves in you, and they see bits of their story and what's happening to you, and what you're doing, and the way you're handling yourself with so much integrity is really paving a way for a lot of women who are wondering what to do with their situation, or wondering how to handle themselves, or how to even step forward. And you're really, really setting a good example here. You really are.
Shoulder to shoulder with them, shoulder to shoulder with those women, and with Marion Miller.
She got off today, didn't she?
Not quite.
Not quite. No.
What?
There's some sort of hook.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. It was. They've dismissed it, and they're probably not going to go back to it. But they've left it open to review, so it's still possible that they might review it and come back to it. They won't, but it also means
That's still hanging over.
Yeah,
her
it's
head.
her reputation, that isn't it?
Yeah.
If she's got an open case, well, it's just absolutely shocking that these men seem to be able to use the police force like their own personal bodyguards. You know,
Yeah.
for going
I hate it.
And what are they doing? Why, as a matter in Scotland, can that be pursued in another country? Do you know what I mean? It's like it shouldn't. It beggars belief. I know Posey Parker, when she was one of the earlier ones, and she lives West Yorkshire Police were pursuing her, and she lived in near Bath, and it's like how is this even allowed to happen? I don't understand why. It's like I say, it's Kafkaesque, isn't it? This sort of
They can go out of their jurisdiction like that.
Yeah, they're treating it like a priority to go after women who say the wrong thing, or not even say, because you're not even saying anything wrong. So if a man reports you and says that your tweet is making him feel unsafe, then the police treat it like a top priority to sort that out. And I don't understand it, because there's a lot of shit that's going on, especially with the way women are treated online. And it's not, the police don't even fucking look at it. They don't want to see your screenshot. They don't want to see your evidence. They don't want to hear it. You're just being mental as far as they're concerned.
They
You're
just
just
tell
a nutter.
They tell you to leave the internet. They say, well, if you're going to be on the
Yeah.
internet, what do you expect? That was what I got when I went to the police.
Actually,
Adrian
that
Harrop
happened
harassed
to
me
me.
online, and they just said, oh,
The same
police
thing happened to us.
Police came to me and said to me, "Do you want to hear?" I've never told anyone this, right? They said to me, "What you need to do is you need to shut down your business and open it again under a new name so that nobody knows who you are. And your fella, who's a musician, needs to not play any local gigs because it just winds the slot up."
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You should say about
So
that.
they're basically telling me to go into hiding, but without any protection.
Mm-hmm. Lauren,
That's
go on.
crazy.
Wow.
So I've got to take responsibility for this lot being wound up by how we're living our lives.
what is it's a
Makes
real
no sense.
It's a real misogyny, isn't it? Women are to blame for what men do, and I think that's how the police see things. It's like, well, what did you do to provoke that kind of reaction?
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, no, I've been told that as well. So what is it you're posting online to make people treat you this way? Is what I
Oh
was
my
told.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got to take responsibility for changing things. Like it was nearly 2 years ago. We when we were part of the LGBT Alliance and we launched, we got direct death threats and rape threats and you name it. They threw everything at us. Carrie got messages directly to her inbox telling us what they took screenshots of Google Earth of our house and said what our address was. They know where we are. They're going to come and kill my wife. They're going to do horrible things to her. Dead body. And when we reported it to the police, they said, well, you should just maybe not talk on Twitter about this stuff.
Yeah, maybe withdraw from the debate. First of all, I want to know, did they ask us?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
But secondly, the other thing to say, and I haven't actually come out publicly about this either, but I'm going to because my gut says. I reported what happened to me when I was a kid to the police service of Northern Ireland a few years ago. I went in and sat down and I was interviewed, and they took the notes, they did the record, and they did everything else. And nobody was interviewed, nobody was telephoned, nobody was talked to under caution. And we're talking about the rape and torture of a little child. But one phone call from that man, and I'm being sent to the prosecution service of Northern Ireland for the crime of saying that paedophiles and paedophile enablers are bad in a way that triggered him.
And we know for a fact that you reported had previouses and had been to prison for the same thing.
Yeah, the person that not the person that I reported, not the person that reported me. It's been to prison.
Yeah,
it's been to prison for the same offence.
God.
At least
So
one
it's
of
not
them.
like they had to start off fresh. Oh my
Go on,
God.
Iris.
No, go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The girl he went to prison over was like 7 years after what happened to me.
There'll
One
be
of the
others.
things that
The
happened
police
to
are
me.
failing victims and you, and going after trying to lock up mums over being telling the truth. It's
Yeah, the left
very Soviet. It's Soviet bloody stitch up that you're facing. Your
I said it at the
it's so Soviet.
At the start of the interview, I said that I was looking to protect other children and that you should seek out these other victims and talk to these people. And they informed me that they wouldn't be doing any of that.
Oh my God.
That is insane. I don't know how they can justify the contrast between the amount of time, resources, energy, money they're putting into pursuing women like you, but they're not going to go after actual criminals.
Yeah.
I don't know what the
Unbelievable.
justification is or how we can even get through to the police that what they're doing is so, it's not even just wrong, it's completely against what they should be in the police to do.
I can't believe that we're living through. I mean, they're talking about Sarah Everard, and the police are sort of having to face up to institutional misogyny, and they sort of make platitudes about, we've got to do better. But at the same time, when it comes to this particular debate, it's seen as fair game. You know, it's the only time. It seems the only legitimate way you can abuse a woman online is if you call her a TERF, and it's a lot of the time what we're talking about is things like boundaries, safeguarding. You know, these basic things. and yet we become the bad guys because we're going after men's reputations. I think at the end of the day, I think that's one of the worst things you can ever attack is a man's.
But
honor,
like you said, our reputation's a fair game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
do you know what? We can talk about reputation all we like, and people are going to say things if you get a little bit of notoriety, and people are going to troll you. But I just invite anybody to look at my Twitter account and scroll through it and come to a judgment about what they think about my reputation. And if on the basis of my Twitter account you think that I deserve a bad reputation, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to be like that police glass. So I'm on the inside of that police glass and I can see out. But if people looking in think they can see through the police glass and see hatred, what they're seeing is their own reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bang on.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfectly put. Yeah. Definitely. That's why everyone's scared on Twitter, to be open and honest and allow themselves
And
to
in
speak.
real life. People don't say anything in real life. They'd rather step aside and let someone else take the fall because they're scared.
Look at Venice and Linda, because they said something on a video, they got reported. So it wasn't even just something, say, Twitter or Facebook. It was actually from a video. So, yeah.
But if the exact reason that they've taken on the wrong woman, and I got into a little bit of vulnerability when I said that speech, but the real reason that they've taken on the wrong woman is that I used to feel, before I recovered from all what happened to me, I used to feel like when I was in my mind, I was in a corridor and the wind was blowing and there were just doors and doors and doors. And behind every door, there were monsters and there were men without faces. And I used to run back and forward in that corridor, pushing those doors closed. And as soon as I closed one, another one started to creak open. And sometimes I ran out of energy and I just sat on the floor and shook, and they all came for me. And my therapist asked me, what's behind those doors? What is behind those doors? And I said, monsters, men without faces, and hinted at some of the things. And she said, no, but who's in there with them? And I said, I don't know. And we got there in the end. The person that was in there with them was little me. I'd left little me in those rooms with those monsters and those men without faces. And I'd abandoned her, just like everybody else in her life had abandoned her. And I faced it. I went into those rooms. I wrote it out. And in my mind, I went into those rooms and saw it through to the end. But instead of what happened in the end, I wrote that I rescued little me, that grown-up me rescued little me and brought her out into the sunshine, brought her into my garden, left her in my garden, playing in the treehouse with my children. I brought her home and made her safe in my heart. And I went into every single one of those rooms and I defeated those men. I defeated those monsters. And so what fear do any of those people coming after me have for me at all? I've fought demons in the dark and I've won. So what fear do they have for me? Nothing. I've survived rooms worse than they want to put me in. I don't fear prison. I don't fear anything because I've defeated the demons. I've realized myself. I've spoken myself into being as a going human concern. And I've escaped, and here I am. And I'm speaking the truth, and I'm standing in the light, and I do not fear them. I do not fear that man. Or the police, or anybody.
That's lovely.
Raw.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. That's so beautiful, those words you just spoke. Your description of the way you were living in your head is just amazing. Hopefully there's someone out there who can hear that, and it may help them as well.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
And that's why I say it. That's why I say the things that I say, because other survivors hear them.
Yeah.
And you feel, you just articulated what's going on for me. Now I don't feel alone. Now I feel like maybe I'm brave enough to go into those rooms.
Yeah.
It reminds me of EMDR therapy.
I've done some of that.
Hmm?
I've done some of that, yeah.
Yeah, it's to like change the narrative of your trauma. I'm doing some of that myself right now.
Brilliant. I don't want to hijack your podcast. I feel like I'm banging on a bit. Like,
No, well, everything you've said has been like really amazing, and
Yeah,
like
really inspirational as well.
yeah, I was about to say that like the word inspiration is a bit overused in some context, but it can't be overused in this context. It really is, and you've been inspirational in more than one way. Like you've been inspirational in the story you've just told us, but also in the way you're standing up to how you're being treated as well with this situation, with the Twitter situation, and I don't know. I think what you're seeing with yourself at the moment is that this is showing you who you are, and,
Yes.
and you're going to be pretty amazed at who you are, because it's pretty fucking strong in there, and we're all feeling it, and other people are seeing it in you, and it's giving them a little bit of a boost. Does that make sense?
It makes absolute sense, because 2 years ago, I was a baby TERF who was too frightened to put a face and a name on Twitter. And I know, because of the quote tweets that I can't see, there are so many baby TERFs on Twitter who are watching. And what I want them to realize is that 2 years ago, I couldn't even show my face. I couldn't say my name, and I couldn't talk publicly about what happened to me.
And now you are the face and the name a lot of people are thinking of for their inspiration and for their courage.
Yeah.
She inspired me. Like I'm more scared than her. Like Carrie has the bollocks. Like in this relationship, seriously, she's like, right, let's take everything on. Let's do this, and like let's take this risk. And I'm like, no.
You're my bedrock. You're my crown.
I'm like the cautious one. I was the same. I was like, no, I'm a bit scared about this. Like, what are the repercussions of this? But now I'm just like, do you know what? People need to know. People need to know the truth. Women need to stand up for themselves. We make up 50% of the people in this world, and we deserve to be bloody well respected, actually.
Yeah.
So,
and you know what, Lauren? There's nothing wrong with being cautious and assessing the situation and knowing exactly what the risks are when you step in, because if you don't know what the risks are, that's when you get taken by surprise. So there's nothing wrong with being a little bit cautious and talking about it. But what you've done is, I don't think any of us here realise how big this step is, what you've taken, and it is huge.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
Hopefully other police forces will be thinking twice before they start pursuing vexatious litigation against innocent women, because there must be thousands of women. There's the women that we hear about, but there's also all the other women who haven't got enough of a platform and who don't feel able to, who are private on Twitter, who aren't known, who are scared of the consequences, who just back down, or
they're just shit scared of the police shit scared of even having a case opened against them by the police. And what women like you and Marion Miller are showing us is that we ain't got nothing to be scared of, because we're not doing anything wrong.
No.
Exactly.
We're not alone as well. Like every time this has happened, the force grows stronger.
So many people are coming out the woodworks as well. So many people that haven't even said anything online are like standing up and saying, I support Marion Miller, I support Kerry, I support this. This is wrong. This shouldn't be happening. It's phenomenal, and it needs more of us to be standing up to this, to be honest, because I'm quite shocked at the amount of women that have had a police interaction over this that haven't said anything, myself included. And what you're doing is inspiring us to pipe up.
You are inspiring. You really are. You're inspirational. The pair of you.
It is perfectly natural as well to have a fair response to this. I mean, look at just us in the last couple of years, when, it is natural to be scared because it is a scary situation. When you speak up on some of these topics, some people do want to come after you. Some people do want to say things. Some people do want to threaten you, whether you've got a family or not, and I can understand why people want to be anonymous. I can understand why they don't want to say who they are, because you get doxxed. People find out where you live. They find out where you work. They're not afraid to phone your work, and they'll say whatever they need to say. But I guess you need to know what your own boundaries are. You need to know where your own limits are, and you need to work within the parameters of those two things. Like Carrie and I are about love and boundaries, and we've made a situation for ourselves, and we're kind of in a lucky situation in that people can't find me. I'm not on the internet in terms of the work that I do. So there is a little bit of, protection to fall back on there. But like a lot of people don't have that. You know, a lot of people don't have that. So like I said, love and boundaries, work within the parameters that you have in your own life, you know, and keep yourself safe at the same time.
Yeah, like
I think that's solid advice.
Yeah, really. Like, don't take more risks than you're comfortable with taking.
Yeah.
Like, be anonymous if you have to be anonymous.
Yeah.
No, I think it's our bit. Everyone's doing their bit. It's just you're so open. Obviously, you're because of the police. You've been put in the eye, haven't you? You've been put in the public eye. That's quite what a burden to have on your shoulders.
But it could have been anybody. That's the point. It was me, but it could have been anybody.
Could have been anybody.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling us your story and for reading your statement. And thank you for even going further than that and telling us other personal things about yourself. It's been really touching. I really appreciate it. It's been great actually to hear it.
I want to hear about the school board and the other things.
The Loudon.
Can I go and have 2 minutes?
That's coming up. Yeah.
Can I do that? Can I go and have 2 minutes and come back again?
Yeah, go on.
Is that right? It's a lot.
Yeah, I'm also going to excuse myself and fix my wife a wine, but I have a fireworks display to go to, so I'm also going to say good evening and thank you for chatting. So Kerry will come back.
I'll come back in 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's fine. You're welcome to come back.
I just need a wee minute. Right. Thank you.
All right, Tanya. Tanya, you got a story about Loudon for us.
Oh my god!
All right,
I'm the worst. I only have to cry a little bit, and I don't just the tears come out my eyes. My nose starts running as well.
I pushed mine back in. I don't know if you saw, but I went like this and pushed it back in.
Oh no! Don't do that. Let it out.
I get told not to do that all the time, but it's the Essex in me, innit?
I'm not bothered about it though. I don't care.
That was touching. That really touched the fucking nerve, didn't it? The heart.
I wasn't expecting that.
I was engrossed listening, not realizing that my eyes were getting wet, and then
I visualized all of it, and I was
I
there in that corridor.
Yes.
I was there, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
I was as well. I'm terrible at visualizing things in my mind. That's why, I mean, you're an artist, so that's part. But I am terrible. But that was so easy to visualize.
It's the way that Kerry articulates herself as well, and you can.
Yeah.
She speaks with her feelings, if that makes sense. Like some people are more calculated with their words. Sometimes I think about what I'm going to say, like just seconds before I say it, because I want the right word to come out. But Kerry spoke with her emotions.
Yeah.
I thought there were some techniques that I could learn. I'm sat there thinking, oh my god, that's a technique, a mind technique that I could take on board. So she's just, I love Kerry.
There's so much to learn.
She is on Twitter. Do you know her Twitter name at all?
Yeah, I do.
Fem Loves. FEMME_loves. She's really good actually. I love her threads. I've because I'm not on Twitter, so sometimes I'll scroll through the missus's Twitter. And whenever she writes the threads, they're so beautiful. And they're so like as a couple, they write so well about like their relationship and lesbian love and how like I don't know, it just makes me go like.
I know, it's so sweet. They really are the sweetest.
The sweetest.
I know. They're taking your hot spot.
Yeah, I know this is scared the cat.
We've done you.
No, we'd like to one day we'll be them, won't we? Like let's think couple goals. Like we've got a couple of kids. We've got 2 cats, but I don't think that counts.
Yeah, but you two are on sync. You can see it, feel it. Well, not feel it. You can see it when I see you two together. You're like ah. You are
lovely. I love spending time with you two. It's nice.
Oh, yeah.
I need to meet all of you.
Like a 2 for 1. We're like a 2 for 1, aren't we? Yeah. Buy one, get one free. Are you ready, Tanya, to tell us what went down at the Loudon County? What was it? It was like a school meeting.
Yeah, sure. So, I'm like, I guess should I give like background to it? Is everyone up to speed? I feel like everyone's like up to speed with it a bit.
Give some
But
background.
Yeah, give us some
Um,
background.
okay, so I guess it started, I don't know what, like some months ago with these school board meetings. Parents were starting to speak up about I forget like the exact name of the law, but basically the inclusive laws of just sharing, allowing boys into the young girls' restrooms, locker rooms, sports, all of that. And it's been happening really around the country here in the States, but Loudoun is definitely like the most nationally known. But for a while, the little clips that they would show on the news weren't really the whole story. It was mostly, parents complaining about kids having to wear masks and this and that, and just showing like, the most pissed off parents or whatever at the wrong moments. And but once you watch like the actual school board meetings and what the parents were actually saying, it mostly revolved around wanting to keep their girls and the children safe. So basically, the top of the school board, this guy Scott Ziegler, a young girl was raped in the bathroom by a boy in a dress or whatever, and it was swept under the rug, and they claimed like they didn't know about it, which was a total lie. And they, instead of like the kid getting in trouble, they just put him into a different school in the same county where he did it again. Finally, this whole story came out. I believe the Daily Wire probably was the first who put the whole story out in print or whatever. And I believe now that the kid actually was finally charged. He's 14 years old. But anyway, so the school board meetings, even though they're supposed to be open to the public, now because of like how, I guess, crazy they've been getting, they've been forcing the parents to sit out in the parking lot and only inviting a certain amount of speakers in at a time, which is completely illegal. And they also have been using like intimidation tactics by like having like guards outside and like patting people down when they go in. But the parents have organized and have started, every time there's a school board meeting, they have started doing rallies outside of the schools while the meetings are going on, and they'll have like a PA and a screen, so they'll have it projected onto the screen so everyone outside can watch and listen to what's going on. And then they'll also have some parents speaking right out in the parking lot, and they'll have someone like popping popcorn and like have like sodas and stuff. And was really interesting to actually get to go. But so yeah, this past Tuesday they had a meeting, and this, I guess, I'm assuming is like the first meeting after all of this information finally came out into the public nationally, which it seemed all the parents there already knew that this was like happening. And so Kara Dansky like got a hold of one of the people I volunteer with at the WHRC and was like, hey, try to get some women together from Richmond to drive up. And so there was like 4 of us who drived up, and then a couple women came from Chicago, which was really cool. Lauren Levy came down from New York. She flew in, which was really awesome. So there was like a a nice little group of us, I guess like around 10 of us, and we met up, we got together. It was really cool. One of the women I drove up with, who I'm not going to say her name because she wants to be protected. She said like she works within a university, not in Virginia, but outside of Virginia. And she said she saw our show. I believe it was the one that Jess and Amy were on. And she was like, that's what really like made me like want to get involved. She said, you know, decades ago, like no one was talking about this. And then, you know, it was so nice to see. She's like, I know it's still not a lot of women talking about this sort of stuff, but it's so much more than when, you know, I first started wondering about this, because she works like within women's studies, and, you know, academia is just like completely captured, and that could be a whole nother conversation. But basically, like, she got involved because she saw our show. I'm sure it was like other things too, but she, you know, was like, oh my God, Tanya, I can't believe like that was you. I knew you looked familiar. So that was really cool. And so we drove up. It's about like 2-3 hour drive, and we all met at this other woman's house, Natasha, whose daughter Jolene, some of you might have recognized. She kind of went viral on like the Radfem verse in Twitter and stuff. She had the green shirt, and she spoke about, you know, she spoke at the school board meeting about what was going on. And so I met her. She was really cool, and Natasha was really cool. So we all met up there and like made our signs, and then drove over to where the school board meeting was happening. And it was like one side of the parking lot was all the parents that were really concerned, and then like another side was like all the you know, neoliberal whatever, and there wasn't very much of them. It was they were a much smaller group. And at first when we walked in, we like had our signs, and there was like different news sources there and reporters there, and first everyone kind of seemed like pretty confused, like, you know, who are these people? And then once they realized like we were on their side, everyone wanted to like come talk to us, which was really awesome. And it was just it was really a interesting experience. It was cold as hell. It was really, really windy. When we first got there, they had one mother come and speak about how her daughter was sexually harassed in the school, and how basically the school really didn't do much. They didn't do much to like give her any therapy. They didn't really do much to like make her feel welcome back in the school. And it kind of just seemed like it made things worse for her daughter. She was, you know, tearing up and crying about like what had happened, and that was really like hard to watch. And then they had a someone from the DA. It was a Democrat woman who was from the DA, who is in charge of charging juvenile cases and stuff. And she spoke about how important like girl safety is and all of that. And so we basically just came and held up our signs to make sure, like, you know, everyone saw. And then we went and kind of like trolled the other side of the parking lot where all like the LGBT or whatever, mainly the T people, were, they had their signs. Their signs sucked. You couldn't even read them. And the news came up and interviewed Kara and Lauren. So that was really cool. And they took pictures of like all of us holding our signs. If you like, I guess, like go on Twitter and search Loudoun County, usually like you'll see some of the footage and stuff pop up. But it was just really nice, like talking to all the parents. And one of the guys that was like interviewing all of us from like I guess a local radio station around here, he just was, I don't know, he just kept saying, wow, the plot thickens, and just like, was really found it really interesting to hear about like, like leftist women that aren't buying into this shit. And everyone was like saying how articulate we were, and pretty much that we weren't like, because we weren't really using the correct language, and it seemed like everyone was really like pumped on that, because we weren't just saying, we were calling it like we see it and just talking about, what I mean, how women and girls. Yeah.
Right. So I went on the Twitter and I was looking at the Loudon, and I noticed that the parents and you lot are using the correct language and saying that boys shouldn't have been in the toilets. But the kids, they did a walkout, and the language is, we're just not happy with how the school dealt with it. There's no shock that a boy was put into the girls' toilet. So I'm wondering if parents are being cancelled at the dinner table in Loudon because they've dared to say that boys shouldn't be in there. Did you get that feel as well, that the kids are a bit on a different level?
Not really, but there's so many kids in that like county. There's so many schools in that county. So like the one school that we went to, a lot of the kids there was a lot of kids with the parents where we were at, like on our side, but I don't really know what the majority of the children think. But I'm pretty like that school definitely, like it seems like it's very, very probably liberal. So I really don't know. Like
you can feel it on the Twitter. The language is different. The parents are, and the kids are just like, oh, that's not the problem. It's just that the school covered it up. And and
we're
on a different language here, aren't we?
Yeah. With Natasha's daughter Jolene, like she talks about like how, when she cut her hair short, how everyone was asking, are you planning on being a boy? Are you non-binary? And like blah blah blah. So yeah, I'm sure that a lot of the kids are a bit indoctrinated with this ideology and being obsessed with this, innate essence of a gender identity. So I don't really I really feel for all the parents that are trying to like get through with all this and figure out how to amend it all, because I mean, sorry, I'm like outside. I don't really have anywhere to hide in my house or it's not loud, but it seemed like it just, everyone on that school board is like, it seems like they're all in cahoots with each other, and they, it's really crazy to me that the main guy like won't step down. Also, I read another article and I listened to other parents tell me about it. These people on the school board were getting together and they have like their own secret group, and they were like trying to find telling people to go out and find out who these parents are that are speaking up, and find out where they work, find out their addresses, find out who they're friends with, like basically making lists of all these parents to dox them.
That is scary shit.
Yeah.
That is stalker shit.
Yeah. If I find, I have the article like saved somewhere that goes into depth about like.
Put it in the description so people can have a look at it, because this is the same thing happening time and time again, though, isn't it? And this is one thing that worries me about what's happening is that because a lot of people high up have enabled this abuse, even though they might not be paedophiles themselves or have any sympathies. I think their interest is to minimize it and cover it up and to try to, because they're responsible. It's their own, it's their ineptitude and their inability to deal with the matter that's created the situation. And this is why one thing I find so worrying is we're only at the beginning of all the things coming out, and to see how people respond to that. It's not by putting their hands up and going, I'm so sorry. What can we do to make this better? Which is the only appropriate response to a situation like this. To see them turning around and attacking the whistleblowers and the parents is absolutely despicable.
I bet they've even apologised to the boy for how people were talking about him.
Yeah, well,
I don't even want to think about that. My God.
They're trying to say, like, they don't even specify.
Didn't he, when he got moved to another school, didn't he do it again? Has he done it previously? Yeah,
he did it again.
What I'm worried about this boy for is because he's 14, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
A 14-year-old doesn't just go out and rape somebody. There's something going on there. He's done things before. Maybe something's happened to him.
Right.
So he's learned this somewhere. Maybe it's pornography. Maybe something's going on. But he didn't just go out and rape like that. He's done some other stuff. There's a track record. And parents know.
Because I feel like if you're a 14-year-old boy, you're a boy. And if you're a 14-year-old boy who's going out and raping girls, it's not because you're a normal 14-year-old boy who needs to be criminally charged. Because you're a kid who desperately needs somebody to intervene before you become a sociopathic.
Yeah, there's something going on. Yeah, and it's really scary to think about this kid.
He needs safeguarded. He needs prosecuted, but he also needs safeguarded.
Yeah.
He's a kid at the end of the day. Birdie, I read that wasn't just the only case of assault. That actually there's years of it that they've covered up. A boy was sexually assaulted by the football team, the locker room, and he was sexually covered that up. So these adults have covered up so much. They need to.
So this school has a history of it.
Yes.
The school has a history of covering the shit up.
Then that's
the whole county, not just one school. It's the board who oversees all the schools in the county.
And that's what the drift I got from like listening to a couple, like the mother I said that spoke, like her talking about her daughter's incident was a whole nother thing. And they did talk about the football team incident. And so it seems like there's
this is a community effort to cover up bullshit that's happening. And is what's going on? Who are these kids that are getting protected? Are they of a certain class? Are they from certain backgrounds? What's going on?
Actually, it's not. I don't think it is about background. I think that in a situation where you have an abused child and an abuser, it's almost always easier to side with the abuser. Because if you side with
you think it's just making life easier for themselves? Yeah,
that's what I think.
Yeah,
you side with the kid, you might break your community. Sorry, Tanya.
No, it's all right. This is one of the most wealthiest counties, and it is the wealthiest county probably in the entire United States. Like all these kids, like these houses, like around this area were gorgeous. The stores were amazing. Like it's a very uppity, like, really, really beautiful place with beautiful, huge schools. Like this is, and that's the thing is like the people on the school board, especially the women, they're just like these suburban neoliberal women who have just taken it upon themselves to like they're also a part of this like one club that was originally meant to be for like kids of color and minority like kids, which only make up like 8% of this county's like schooling, but they turned it all into having to do with the tea. And so it just, I don't know, it's weird that they've made it like they're I don't know the word I'm looking for, but
it happens. It's like the colonization of proper minority rights by Dave Chappelle says it's white men who are making themselves the center of the oppression pyramid, and like actual, I'm not saying that maybe there are not issues with the trans people who identify as trans needing certain things, but at the same time, what's happening with like disability, like disabled access, access for minorities, things that actually like on a broad base, it's all just getting filtered down to this one thing, and then and then it makes, I don't know, like everything's just getting melded into one. I think Stonewall does equality assessments on, like, they look at all your equality legislation, and they don't have the expertise to talk about disability or
Right.
race, you know, and they're using they're making it all about pushing that.
Well, that's
that,
the thing. It's like these are all like rich, you know, white ladies, like bored white ladies that, you know, didn't probably, I don't know. I don't want to speak on their backgrounds, but it's like, you know, they don't really seem like they're the ones that are the best to be having this type of job.
Yeah.
And
Tanya,
Can I ask? Can I?
go
Sorry,
ahead.
go.
You go ahead, Carrie. Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you. Is it Loudoun County that conservative Christian blogger spoke at? Not the YouTube guy. What do you call him? Somebody.
Matt Walsh.
Yes, it was.
That he spoke.
Yeah, he did speak out, didn't he? I saw his video.
How did that go over? Like locally, how was that?
I don't know, because I'm in Richmond, so I'm like 2.5 hours south, but apparently he like moved to Loudoun County just so he could be a part of like going to the school boards and stuff like that. There is a lot of like conservatives there, like as well as like the liberals, but there's also a lot of you know, there's a lot of Democrats there who are with the conservatives on all these issues, because the main thing they speak about when, you know, the main thing I heard everyone talking about, and what we were saying too, is this shouldn't be a political, like, there's nothing about this should be political. It should have nothing to do with whether you're conservative or liberal. Like, this is about safeguarding for children, especially women and girls, and to not be using them as like human shields for, you know, some boy's identity, some made up essence of an identity. And, you know, so I don't know. I really liked, like, I told Natasha about the show, and she said she would gladly come on, and she's definitely like so much more informed on like everything that's going on there. And she's really cool. So I feel like we should have her on, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Let's give us the
There's
lowdown.
a governor race. There's a governor race going on right now.
Yeah.
between the
Yeah.
Democrats. I mean,
Yeah.
it could swing it to the Republicans. This could swing it to the,
I
does
mean-
the governor have the can he change the rules if he won? Would
Yeah.
he be able to turn it over?
well, yeah, especially I think too, because we are a Commonwealth state, so we have more like states that are part of the Commonwealth or whatever have more power over like being a part, like being in a state than like other states, I guess, like than federally. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a tight race. The guy, the Democrat who's running, he was a governor here before, and they have like term limits here and stuff. So I guess that's why he didn't run like the second time, which why we have a different governor now. But you know, again, because I moved here from out of state, I'm still like learning about all the politics of everything. But the Democrat who is running, you know, made a big fucking mistake, because he said like over all of this stuff, like, you know, parents shouldn't get in the way of like the teachers are the professionals and blah blah blah. And then when Obama was here the other day, and he was honestly a big letdown. He was like saying, you know, these culture wars, like, they're just folly and they don't need to be taken
Easy for him to
seriously.
say.
Yeah, I mean, it's not it's not a culture war. It's women's rights. It's children's rights.
Yeah.
To have it framed as this sort of stupid, doesn't even
if
matter.
it, no. Even if it is a culture war, it's having a big impact on people's future. And calling it a culture war, you can say that is not like the appropriate terminology for it, and that it downplays it. But people just are underestimating what a culture war is.
The definition of elitism is holding political beliefs of which you do not feel the consequences.
Yeah.
So it is a rich ex-president thinking that it's just fine for trans women to swing their penises about wherever they like.
Right.
It is people.
Well, when's it going to affect him? It ain't, because
Well-
I guarantee his daughters don't have to put up with
Yeah,
that
they
shit.
can. He can pay for their schooling. They're not relying on
Exactly.
scholarships from sports or any of that shit.
You know what? You know what else I think? Because I didn't realize how wealthy this county was. But do you know what? That's probably why things are coming out now. Because I bet a lot of those students' parents are connected and wealthy. How often is this getting replicated in an inner city high school? Yeah, with parents who have got no connections, no proper like education. You know, and maybe this is only coming out here because it is the wealthiest county, and that there is a little bit of pushback. You know, what is it doing to the poorest communities
Right.
where they don't have those things? You know,
Right.
you know, what's going to happen when they're exporting this ideology to like the global south? What's going to happen in those countries when these sorts of things happen? You know, it's such a luxury belief to be able to hold, to pretend that sex bodies don't matter, to pretend it's ontological, like it's just an ontological position to believe that men can be women, or some men can be women, or you know what I mean? It's like, it's not ontological, it's not a philosophical thing. It's
Well, and it's messed up because like these, you know, because these people do have so much sway and blah blah blah. It's pretty crazy though how long it even took to make national news, because for a while it was, you know, just you know, Fox News or these conservative news people putting this out. And you know, nowadays people are like, oh, that doesn't count, that's not
because it's fake news. Anything, any news source from a different political sort of background is easily dismissed. And you know, the right wing, I see articles coming out from people like the Federalist and you know, lots of conservative sources. And in the past, I'm from the left, I would have equally dismissed those sources, or even if I did read them, I would sort of read them with a sort of maybe I'm not sure. Whereas now I'm seeing the left being totally captured and just putting neoliberal propaganda. What they want is a top.
And you know what?
Change anything, and it's not just trying to do other things, but you know, it's just there's no investigative journalism. There's no questioning of what we're being told.
It's because they're all getting grants, you know. I mean,
Because it is ideological though, and that's why when you said, Tanya, that this isn't a left-right issue, it's so important to keep saying that, because people need to transcend their political allegiance, because their political allegiance ain't what they think it is anymore. They need to overstep that and overlook that and just look at each individual issue for what it is, and do the right thing. Basically, do the right thing. It don't matter whether it's a left or a right.
Birdie, a
Who's
teenage girl
doing
being
what?
sexually assaulted. It's nothing to do with left or right, and it's not a
Exactly.
funny question.
In what world?
This is
In what
serious.
world would any of us here overlook that and be like, oh yeah, but I don't want to side with the Tories? In what world would that be appropriate?
Well,
Ridiculous.
I think hopefully, like, more what was great about the protest that I saw was, like you were saying, like a lot of people were like, oh, I didn't know that there were women on the left who felt like this, and hearing seeing Democrats. I think it was Kowadansky had a sign saying like Democrat here, like opposing this, and breaking through that and making people see that there's a lot of people. I mean, the gender critical movement is left wing. I mean, there are people on the right who also support us. It is cross party, but the engine of it is you know, people from the left, because it opposes the values that we hold, and it just goes to show how far away the political elite has become from its grassroots core, you know, people, I suppose, and it's core value.
This is where I differ from everybody else, because I will ally with anybody. I don't care if you're a feminist or if you're not. I don't care if you're the Heritage Foundation. I don't care if you're a Tory. I'm gonna. I did once kiss a Tory, but it was a mistake. Anyway, but the
I liked it.
Even worse, I kissed a Tory and I liked it. Anyway, the point being, I don't care. I sort of think we park all of our differences, and we have to park the differences in our movement as well. Like there's people in this movement that I fundamentally do not like on a personal, visceral level, and guess what? I'll work with them as well. I will.
But you know what?
Anybody, we have to win this. We have to win this for my wife, who needs the therapy that she's getting. We have to win this for my beautiful sparkly, hilarious son who has a pile of teddies in his bedroom and likes teddies with sparkly eyes. He got a dinosaur teddy the other day. I bought him a dinosaur teddy. And he says,
Excellent.
he got this teddy. He said he got the teddy and goes,
Brilliant.
I am going to call you Horny because it has horns. It has many horns. And then he realized what he says. He says, I am going to call you Horny. And then he goes, oh, Horny is taken. He says, I will call you Tusky. So he's fabulous, creative, hilarious, prancing, swooshing, squeaking boy. We have to win this for him. Because if the gender ideologues got their hands on him or on my wife.
Kerry, my daughter,
Consequences for my
she's,
life will be a disaster.
both my daughters are not, typically girly. They sleep in a bed of crisps and there's just rubbish everywhere. And
Me
my
too.
oldest-
Me too.
Yeah, my oldest is, what you would
You won't let me.
doesn't subscribe to these ideas of what a girl is supposed to behave and
Yeah.
act. So it's, all of our kids, isn't it?
Yeah, the
I'd like
tribalism
to-
needs to stop.
This is the thing. I'd like to go back to the political tribalism for a minute because I agree with you, Kerry, that I will. Anyone who's committed to doing the right thing and on the side of truth, I'm with them. The thing is, some of these activists that are against us, they're teaming up with criminals, paedophiles, rapists, predators. That's who they're pledging their allegiance to. It's not a good look.
No.
It's that police glass again, isn't it? Like they accuse us of having billions from the American right. Well, we have police glass around us. So you make accusations against us, you're looking in the mirror, babes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tanya,
Unfortunate. Oh, sorry.
I'm just going to say one last thing. They spent £11 million in Loudoun County on a mask mandate to get the kids to school, but they didn't spend £11 million on the girls. They didn't spend £11 million on the safety
That's
of
insane.
girls.
At the end of that meeting, apparently, the only thing they really got through and voted on was to give themselves a fucking
Pay rise. Yeah. Yeah.
Not the safety of the girls or our children,
No.
the boys as well. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that says it all, really. Unfortunately, I think we're going to wrap this up. Does anybody have any final words for the Womb
Did
with
we
a View
give a
podcast?
shout out? Sorry, did we give a shout out to the Spanish women?
Yes.
Hola.
We did. I
Ooh.
missed it.
How do you say
Yeah,
well
they
done?
were
Spanish?
brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
teachers.
Muy bien.
Inspiring, isn't it?
Yeah. There was a march in Madrid, and it was against self-ID, prostitution, surrogacy, quite a broad-based Radfem coalition. How many? They got thousands
It
out
was-
there.
It was all over the country. It wasn't just in Madrid. It was all
Oh,
over the country. Yeah.
Maybe we should talk about it
Thousands.
next week, Iris,
Yeah.
and really go into that because they've been,
Yeah.
ignored by the news. They've left
Yeah.
men being horrible to them. I think we should do it.
Yeah, we'll try.
Yeah,
we'll
we
try
should
and
get
one
Spanish
on.
women on.
Yeah.
I get so much Spanish support. So like if there's some sort of slogan or something that needs like elevated, just send it on to me and I'll retweet and all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We keep trying to get Iris to go to approach them and speak Spanish, but she just told me this week like I don't really.
We should just go to Spain. We should just go
No,
there
do you know,
and go
I
to one of
think-
their marches.
I think once I'm into it, I'll be okay. It's just
Yeah.
starting off.
Yeah, I think we all need to connect with each other because this fight's happening around the world, and let's start doing that a bit more.
We
Innit?
should go there.
Yeah.
We should
Yeah.
go to one of their protests and go and meet them and give them some support. I think we
Let's
should plan this.
fundraise to buy the plane tickets, hotel. No.
Such a- I went, let's do it.
5-star hotel. No.
Oh, I was just thinking Travelodge is fine, isn't it? Premier Inn.
Listen, we can use our billions from the American right to fund the private jet, surely. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Let's get,
please, let's
who's
go.
the American right? We need to email them and ask them to fund us.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming on the show and chatting. It's been a great comeback as well. I'm loving season 2 already. It's kick ass. You've all been brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I hope that people take from it what I've personally taken from it. I've learned a lot of lessons from watching you, Kerry, and
Yeah.
Tanya. What you've had to talk about. It's so important that we know what's happening internationally. And DJ and Aja, it's great what you're doing as well. I really want to support the lesbian community, gay community, because I'm not a bigot.
I love
But-
that video, by the way, you made of the Stonewall come out or whatever. It was really cool.
The
Yeah,
Lily,
Yeah,
Lily
we should
Maynard
link
one.
that.
Well, link
Yeah.
We
it.
should put that in the links.
Can you give us a thumbs up as well? Please like and
Yeah.
subscribe. Thumbs up, because that really helps to get the message out and like spread it, and just do what we do and keep on doing it. I suppose, make more noise.
And I'll,
Yeah,
I'll,
give us a
Yeah.
like.
I'll
give
give it
us a
24 hours.
subscribe.
Definitely.
Oh,
But I'm going to give it 24 hours and then I'm going to put the text of the statement that I made onto Substack. But I'll give it 24 hours. Like, let people come and listen to you guys as well.
Oh,
Oh, thank
thank
you.
you.
That's nice. So give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us, I don't know,
Money.
a cup of tea, all your money. Give us all your money. Well, I was just going for tea. You went for money. I was like, give me a cup of tea. I'm fine with that.
money buys tea though.
Give me a packet of crisps and I'm happy. Give her money though. She wants all the money.
Look,
But-
if you believe what they're saying on me, if you believe what they're saying about me online, then you better send me some money because my pony's got colic and my swimming pool's gone green. I'm in really desperate need of help. Like, help me out.
Shit, that is proper problems. That.
Like real life problems.
Right.
All right. Let's go. Let's wrap this up. Thank you for watching Womb with a View. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Make sure you love us. Make sure you find us on Twitter. Make sure you click on all the links down below, down there. And make sure you send us all your money and crisps. See you later.
Bye.